1768 was when a circus was born, and it was invented in the United Kingdom by Philip and Patty Astley, two equestrian riders who performed in Westminster Bridge in 1768. Since then, 251 years later now, circus has become the predominant entertainment force of the 19th and 20th century. In England today, there's over 50 to 60 circus companies, traditional and contemporary. In France, there's 350. So any country, any nationality can perform circus. It's all about skill and the artistry of the performance. For me, it's one of the most essential forms of performance because of the inclusivity of the ring. One act does not make a circus show, but the combination of acts makes a circus show.
But the ring, which is 42 feet wide, is absolutely standard worldwide. So it could be in Russia, it could be in South America, they're always 42 feet wide. This was the maximum area for riding a horse round where you could sort of sit on there and do tricks. And this is all from the first circus that was in London, started 250 years ago, to Philip Astley on the South Bank, literally riding a horse in a circle, putting a fence up, a few people coming in to see it, and then he added a few other acts from the market like jugglers and clowns, and this is how the first circus happened. He had the most magnificent building opposite the Houses of Parliament. It's no longer there, Astley's Amphitheatre, which was the first circus building in the world.
So my name is Yasmin Smart, and I come from the circus family, Billy Smart. Billy Smart was my grandfather. 250 years anniversary of the circus is very important to me because it lets a lot of people realise that it's an English tradition. Because a lot of people don't realise that, you know, they think it comes from America or so forth. And it's very nice to teach people that it started in England.
There was actually 6 circus buildings in Yarmouth at one time. I mean, a lot of the original circus buildings were wooden buildings, not tents. Before the Hippodrome was built, this was a wooden building for a few years, and then obviously George Gilbert did really well with it, the guy, and built the Hippodrome.
Great Yarmouth is very important in terms of traditional circus history because it's the last circus building built in the United Kingdom. Obviously opened in 1903, built on the site of Gilbert Circus, and it is the only surviving circus building complete. There is another permanent building for circus, but that's part of Blackpool Tower. So Great Yarmouth Hippodrome, and also what it also has is the water circus. Now water circuses seem quite bizarre to people outside Great Yarmouth, but to people at Great Yarmouth it is circus. This incredible water show where the ring drops and water's flooded in.
It was a huge entertainment thing, and it goes in troughs, it goes in peaks and troughs, where like 6 of the biggest shows in like Las Vegas now are circus shows. Some of them are water shows, really like big versions of what we do here.
When I was in America last year, I mentioned Great Yarmouth and all the circus performers from this area cheered because even though they live in Sarasota, they still see Great Yarmouth as their home. So it's wonderful for me that the Circus Shows exhibition was in Great Yarmouth because it brings that local knowledge into an international context. And I think it's great for the people of this area to understand that a building they probably take for granted or they've been to as a child or they go to every year with their children or grandchildren is actually known as one of the beacons of circus in the world.
There used to be a hippodrome probably in every city in the country, you know, so every building would have had this history, and it's all been lost. This is probably the only collection in the UK that is specific to the building and has kept that kind of history. It's kind of sad really to see so many hippodromes disappear over the years, and all the artefacts and all the history.
Well, we bought the Hippodrome in '79, and actually we didn't buy it as a circus. For a couple of years we put in touring shows, which were terrible, and then I decided, well, come on, I can do better myself, and that's how I got into producing my first circus show here in '81. We brought the water back, which hadn't been used for 25 years, and fast forward, this year is my 40th year, so we're still trying to find out what the magic is that it kind of, the building itself has its own magic. It kind of works on you and takes you in and you get drawn into it. It's an amazing place. There are only 3 in the world now that still have the water, and it's here in the back street in Great Yarmouth.
Great Yarmouth is quite special to me because it was one of the first seasons I performed with my horses away from my family, because I'd always worked with my family and I'd trained a new group of horses, and Peter J came to see me and asked if I'd come and work here. And what he did, because he'd just taken over the hippodrome, and he brought the water back. It was the first year he was going to use the water show, and he called the show Yasmin Smart Circus. So that was quite special, and like I say, it was the first time I performed out of my family circus.
My name is Jack J, now the producer and director of the shows here at the Hippodrome Circus. I'm also the ringmaster as well, and I'm Peter's youngest son, along with my eldest brother Ben J. We look after all of the shows here and all of the production, everything that goes along with them. I've pretty much grown up here my entire life. I'm 31 now, and I can't remember a time when I wasn't here and wasn't in and around the building. And it's an amazing place. As a kid, I have to say, and now I look back, I think how lucky I was to be running around backstage and be around the shows. And it's definitely, that's the moment where it kind of it gets into your blood, and you don't want to do anything else. The great thing I think about the circus as a community is they're really welcoming of families and younger people. Obviously, if you imagine when they're touring and going around in caravans, that sense of community is natural to them, and they're used to having little kids running around. So they were always brilliant, always so welcoming, and also really giving with knowledge and experience and stories, and I learnt so much. And I think now, again, when I think back, I met so many people from different cultures, be they from Russia or Africa or the United States. So that was absolutely amazing.
Circus is a family business. Our shows are aimed at kids right through to grandmas, and Yarmouth has always been a family resort. It's still probably the top family resort.
I consider circus to be such an important part of what we do, and I think that we do straddle that line between we're an entertainment family, we've got 100 years in entertainment, but we've now made such an impact and impression on circus, and circus touches you in such a specific way. You know, I think entertainment can be very much driven by ego and popularity and who's a star and everything else, and it becomes a very dog-eat-dog kind of mentality that you have with the people you work with. With circus, it's the exact opposite. Everybody works together. When you're not performing, you're backstage helping, you're moving props, you're looking after what would be the kids that might have been me, and that really does kind of infiltrate into how we see it. So I do feel that we're very much now a circus family, and my nephews, my brother's boys that are now growing up, I can see them doing exactly what I was doing, which is running around and getting interested in magic or juggling or telling jokes.
It's very much for our family, the circus family, our kind of crew, which is our wider family, and also the community which lives right outside our door. It's a real sort of hub for everybody to come together.
Circus and top quality entertainment, it should all be one thing really, and I think now, certainly locally, when people think of here, they don't necessarily think of us as the Hippodrome, as whatever that means, whether it's a mix between theatre and circus and a West End or Las Vegas style show. It kind of, everything comes together to create this kind of magic.
Well, Circus250, obviously a very celebratory year for the art form, and particularly relevant to what we're doing here, because Great Yarmouth is perhaps as near as there is to a kind of UK capital of circus. We have the country's only historic purpose-built circus, the Hippodrome, but on top of that, it's also a big centre for circus in that obviously we produce the Out There Festival of Circus and Street Arts, which is pretty much the biggest festival of its kind in the country. And we also run the Drill House Creation Centre for Street Arts and Circus, which is the only dedicated creation space for both those art forms in the UK. So yes, we wanted to mark Circus250 and sort of put ourselves on the map, or make people realise just how big a centre for these art forms this place is.
My name's Lucy Enscat, and I have theatre company Hocus Pocus Theatre, and I'm here today doing my new show, Clown About Town.
My name is Fraser Hooper and I work as a clown.
We're Pemberton and Hague. My name is Tom Gaskin and I've been doing my adaptation of my show Filibuster, a half an hour outdoor version.
Like there's a lot of variety. I've seen some puppet shows, some clowns, acrobatics, juggling. This is everything here.
The idea of Circus 250 inspired it. I wanted to do a clown show, the idea of a clown and reclaiming the innocence of the clown.
It's wonderful to be part of a rich heritage, a rich history, and to be kind of to be involved and to be making a living doing what I love. I think is a privilege and an honour.
A lot of the juggling stuff I do is quite like classical juggling, old school juggling. So I think it's very much, I think it'd be silly to say that anyone performing circus today isn't kind of standing on the shoulders of the giants of circus before. But it's also very important that it does change and develop and attract new audiences because it's such an old art form, it needs to grow and needs to develop. And I think, yeah, you can tell from the festival here that young children still absolutely love it. It's like, it hasn't lost any of the charm over the 250 years of circus.
We've actually been chasing anything that's got a tuba or a trumpet or a trombone in it. Because Alfie's obsessed with brass instruments. It's been amazing. Yeah, we saw a band at the End of the World, which was wonderful. I'm a big fan of Ramshackalicious. We saw them here last year. That was really good. And we just saw Piff Paff with the show about slugs, which was hilarious. I like how everything's so obscure and abstract. It's really brilliant.
The show that I've seen is fantastic, and today as well, I've enjoyed myself so much because I love art, and the art that is here, I just think it's an important thing, especially with the children when they're here. They get motivated because I think that's one thing that we're losing a little bit.
So I am Charlotte. I am the director and the writer of the show.
Yeah, and I'm Noemi, and I play on the show.
So it's a wonderful history that Great Yarmouth have with theatre and circus. We discover this, and our play for us it's more theatre and street theatre than circus, but it's great to mix.
We've done more and more work in the street and in outdoor and public space, and the phenomenon that we now describe as kind of street arts was actually very much a sort of circus-born invention in the 60s and the 70s in particular, when circus artists decided they wanted to come out of the big tops and come out of the venues and go onto the street and work for public, free, and give art to kind of everyone.
You have to be a little bit different because people see so much nowadays.
This last year has been probably the biggest year for circus ever, with The Greatest Showman film being a massive worldwide hit. All the songs have been a hit. 250 years, which has brought a lot of new people in to have a look, and when they come and see the show, they're amazed. And this is through the 250 project, which has been very, very advantageous to the whole business.
But a big thing in circus has actually been the changes around how people learn circus, and that's quite a recent thing, in that if you wanted to be a circus artist historically, since the birth of circus especially, so 200 years ago, you really had to be born into a circus family or somehow be adopted by one or go into it in that quite sort of familial kind of way. And it was only sort of 35 years ago that actually the first real circus schools started opening up, mostly in Europe and now around the world. And this was really the first opportunity for kind of anyone to take that route into becoming a professional circus artist without necessarily having that kind of family background. And I suppose because of that, things have opened up much more broadly in terms of the influences and the direction and the way people are developing their skills. It's not so much that an act is being imposed upon artists, but they're finding a much bigger freedom, as I suppose any professional artist would be encouraged to do in any school of learning as they're learning their craft. So that's been a big force behind that kind of change.
And there was a workshop that was given in my school about circus, and it just caught my attention. And then when I started juggling and when I started doing aerial and practicing, I just really like how it challenged myself and all the possibilities that I could do, like with my body, or break all my limits. And then I couldn't stop. I just had to keep practicing and keep trying new things.
For me it's special because I can do it by myself, just with my effort. For me it's really nice to have the chance to work everywhere. For me the circus is freedom. So one day, I don't know why, I feel the calling and I want to do 3 balls. I don't know why, it's like today I'm gonna do 3 balls, and I start, and since that day I never stop. With the juggling I can be better in all the, not just in the juggling, sino as a person.
It started in Spain. I heard about a juggling convention in Asturias, and I just went there and never stopped. And I found a troupe of circus that was the only troupe of circus in Portugal. They teach me, I start to work with them, and I went to France to study circus, and then it's like...
So you ran away to the circus?
Oh yeah,
really?
Yeah.
So much about what we do is about changing perceptions and about drawing people to this very special place and to a very special town as well. And I think for circus in general, that's so important, is to keep reinventing the image of what we do, because the essence has always stayed the same. It's amazing feats, incredible skills, it can touch your emotions, it can make you go wow, it's absolutely breathtaking. So that part in essence has always stayed the same, but it's about making it so that people can relate to it in a modern way. If we can keep modernizing, reinventing what we're doing, but also giving people a chance to experience it in this absolutely unique place, then yeah, it's very, very special indeed.